حضورنا الكريم، نرحب جميعا بمعالي الدكتورة مارغريت شرامبوك وزير الاقتصاد النمساوي السابق، ومستشار معالي وزير الاستثمار وعضو مجلس إدارة أرامكو الرقمية. وتتمحور الجلسة حول الشركات الصغيرة والمتوسطة في الريادة، قيادة الابتكار والازدهار الإقليمي. ويدير هذه الجلسة الأستاذ روزان لوكود، فليتفضلون.
Hello there, good morning. Thank you for the kind introduction. My name is Rosanna Lockwood. I'm an international journalist and broadcaster, originally from the UK, but I've lived and worked in this region for several years. I come to Saudi quite a lot, and it's a great honor to be here at the Al-Ahsar Forum with you today. I'm here to introduce our next speaker, Her Excellency D.Marghreet Schrambook, who is a distinguished government and business figure. She previously served as Austria's Minister of Economy and Digital Affairs. In that role, she of course played a tremendous part in shaping the national economic policies in the country of Austria and promoting digital transformation across that country. Now, currently, she is advisor to His Excellency Khalid Al-Falih, Minister of Investment, and she is also a board member at Aramco Digital. At Aramco Digital, she is bringing her expertise and experience in digitalization in the economy sector to one of the leading digital innovation arms in the energy sector. Now, a bit more about her history. Marghreet spent over 15 years as a business person, as a CEO of IT and telco companies, including her role at A1, which is Austria's biggest telecom operator. That experience, of course, shaped her approach to digital infrastructure and her tenure as Austria's Minister of Economy and Digital Affairs. Now, during that period in her business career, she was absolutely instrumental in driving forward initiatives that bolstered Austria's position as a competitive digital economy in Europe. And she had a particularly strong focus on supporting the innovative ecosystem for regions and small and medium-sized businesses. She's always focused, actually, her efforts on things like digital infrastructure, SMEs, and supporting startups and fostering innovation, which is particularly relevant for what she's here to speak to us about today here at the Al-Ahsar Forum. Now at Aramco Digital, she continues to leverage all that experience, and her leadership is marked by a strong commitment to innovation and efficiency. She is recognized for her strategic vision. Please welcome to the stage Her Excellency Marghreet Schrambook.
Ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, thank you for having me here in Al-Ahsar today. It's my first time in Al-Ahsar, and I'm very pleased to spend this morning together with you. Thank you to the organizers of the Forum of Al-Ahsar. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce, and especially to His Excellency Khalid Al-Falih, who called me and said, you have to go to Al-Ahsar because it is one of his favorite places. So I'm happy to be here today with you. We will talk about small and medium enterprises today. And why? Because they are key, especially for a regional prosperity. Regions like Al-Ahsar do not only need the big companies like Aramco for shaping the ecosystem, but they need the small and medium-sized companies, and I'm passionate about them. And why? Because they are the core of a culture of a country, and they are so important. So we should never neglect them, and we should drive them to innovate so the region can prosper and can innovate itself. If we look at the small businesses, and from my experience, Austria, 98% of our companies are small and medium-sized companies. So the majority of our economy is based on those companies. And when I talk small and medium-sized, I talk sizes of 10 employees, 20 employees. I'm not talking about the 400 and 500. And still, these companies are highly innovative. So what I have learned during my experience as CEO and also as minister is, it is always important to have a look at that small and medium-sized companies and to promote them. Looking into the audience, I see a lot of female also attending, and this is also worth mentioning. Female do play a major role worldwide in small and medium-sized companies. They form companies, and I have learned that with 58% of Saudi engineers being female, they also play a very important role in the new sector of small and medium-sized companies, namely in the startups. A lot of Saudi women are raising startups successfully, and I can only be highly supportive of that. It's so important not only for the country, but for the economy and the culture. If we look at the small and medium-sized companies, why I'm emphasizing that they are shaping the culture of a country? Because they are not just in the big cities, they are everywhere. They're in the region, they are in the villages, and they're deeply included into the culture of these villages. They shape it. The entrepreneurs of SMEs are important. They are important to for education, they are important to support arts. They are actually the hidden heroes of our economies. And so they are in Austria, and they are also in Saudi Arabia. I've met so many small and medium-sized entrepreneurs, and they are growing fastly here, and this can only highly be appreciated. What do small and medium-sized companies need? They need, of course, a good network, and therefore these forums like this are of high importance to network with each other. We have seen medium-sized tech companies from Korea yesterday, and I have joined their round table, and I can promise you I will bring next year also small and medium-sized companies from Europe and Austria especially to join you, to exchange and to grow together. It's only by talking to each other that we can experience and find business opportunities together. So this is something I will do for next year, so we'll definitely come back next year or the year after, whenever your next forum is. What is a big challenge for small and medium-sized companies is, of course, the speed of innovation. You have a few indications here. Without going into detail, we have felt it all. So in the automotive sector, it took 62 years to reach 50 million drivers. With Facebook, it took only 3 years, and just recently, with AI entering all sectors of the economies, it has taken only 2 months. So this is a huge challenge, and we will come back to this one later on. A diverse partners in an ecosystem like Al-Hassa, this is really important. So I've learned about your university and your ecosystem. It plays an important role. And also here, we have to support it. Government authorities play an important role. Of course, the large companies like Aramco, who build a surrounding that is supportive of the startups and the young tech companies. But the SMEs have special advantages we should never forget. In my view, they are more flexible and adaptable to a surrounding, to the challenges we have seen before. They're closer to the market. I've seen so many large companies around the world, be it in digital, industrial field. I have met the Minister of Korea it was in 2019, yes, in November, I remember well, and he wanted to talk to me because of the SME. There's many large companies in Korea, as you know, but the SME sector is the one who is spreading wealth in the regions, not only in the capitals. The entrepreneurial spirit I've seen in Al-Hassa a lot, especially with your next generation. You have a strong community, and as SMEs are those who, in my view, often use the resources they have more efficiently, because they have to take the time, they need to be very efficient to be successful. Large companies often have a high administration, and I have worked in very large companies, I have been leading them. We always fall into the same trap, to administer instead of doing business. So taking this into account as the ecosystem, we need the right people and the right ideas in the right places, such as like forums like this. We need to co-create. And these ecosystems that are built often around university institutions are key for helping small and medium-sized. And I'm not talking only about startups, but I'm talking about the traditional small and medium-sized companies. So how can we help them to go from their traditional business into the future and innovate and use AI, for example, for the next steps? This landscape for collaboration is key, and I will introduce a model that we have launched throughout Europe and also in Austria to you a little later on. Risk sharing to accelerate. So what we did is, for example, in the R&D sector, we implemented a model where we were supporting R&D of large company only if they included the local ecosystem. So if they invited 1 or 2 small and medium-sized companies to their R&D projects, they could only take the subsidies, the support, the financial support, if they were not only doing their own thing, but if they were including the local community. And this is something which plays a key role. So governments can put a framework where it's always requested to include local SMEs, especially to the topic of R&D. It's about developing the idea together, large companies and SMEs. It's about experimenting, and it's about monetizing, because this is key. So small and medium cannot survive in the long run if they don't make money. And this is for governments, Chamber of Commerce and others, to put the framework in a way that the SME can survive and that they can prosper and that they can grow. With this money, they can innovate. Let me give you an example. In Austrian economy, I mentioned 98% of the companies there are real small and medium-sized, so 10 to 20 employees. Hence, 50% of them are in R&D. So they're not just in trading and having a shop selling things or goods, but they're really investing in innovation. They're in the automotive sector, they are in the medical sector, they're innovating in the high-tech areas like AI and also biotech. So we have a lot of biotech companies, and they are mainly spin-offs, of course, of universities. So we have set up a biotech hub, which is not only in Vienna, but in the regions, so in the capitals of our smaller regions. And Austria is really a small country. I don't know who has been there. We are 9 million inhabitants. This is the size of Riyadh. But for example, in tourism, and I saw that you have also a very large focus in tourism, we have 150 million overnights a year. So with 9 million inhabitants, 150 million overnights, this means this is not handled only by the large international groups. It's handled by a lot of family-owned hospitality companies, hotels, restaurants, run by the families, and also these need to constantly innovate, use the new tools, the new platforms, the new things that AI is offering them to survive and to handle these number of visitors to Austria. Let me have a little bit a sidestep to the challenges. I've talked a lot about the positive and the good things about SME, but of course the surrounding gives them also challenges. And I want to pause a little bit with you and just think about them. You are experiencing those on a daily basis. It's limited financial resources, it's access to talent, but it's above all access to infrastructure. To get access to technical infrastructure, have access to 3D printing, for example, have access to testing grounds, to have access to the knowledge which is there. Also in politics, we sometimes overdo it in regulation. And who is hit first? It's the SMEs. So when launching regulation in a country, we should always think about this. It's not hitting the large companies because they can afford the number of people. We should always think about the small and medium-sized companies, especially in the regions, not to hinder their growth and hinder their prosperity. So what we did is, and I want to share this with you, we introduced so-called innovation hubs. The innovation hubs you will find around a few hundred in Europe. So this is not just a single one, but it's a network of innovation hubs which are built across the countries, between countries, working together on certain topics. And when I was minister, I launched several of those innovation hubs on certain topics. And I've learned that Al-Hassa is leading in agriculture. And I want to share with you that one of the innovation hubs I introduced was from smart farming. So smart farming can be one. Cybersecurity was one. Then in general, infrastructure provided on the 3D printing was one. So we did tenders and we asked the public sector representative, especially the schools, the universities and the companies, to hand in their proposal how to form such an innovation hub in the ecosystem. Then we provided the funding, and this was one of the key success factors of bringing the innovation to the local SMEs. SMEs don't tend to go far. They don't want to go 100 kilometers or 200 or 300 to Riyadh. If this is in Riyadh, it's good, but it's too far away for them. They will not use it. So we have made the experience that it's good to bring the innovation hub to the regions. Collaborative research can be done there. You can then have a look at their digital maturity. So also this we introduced a monitoring of the digital maturity of the SME of the region. It was easy for them to access. They found partners to talk to there. They found partners to do studies, because sometimes or often it's very difficult for SMEs to do the first step. The moment they are in the innovative solutions, they are great. But sometimes there's hindering factor, their tradition, their leadership, they have never done it like this. So they need this closeness and the innovation hub, which will help them for the future. We also offered the training and the brokering and matchmaking, because often they have ideas which they do not know how to implement themselves, but there may be another SME who exactly knows how to do it. So this matchmaking was highly successful and is a key, in my view, for the SMEs in the region. Also, what we did was the funding of the infrastructure. And I've seen a lot here already go on in the region, and I will stay until Sunday, and I will definitely come back to Al-Hassa to learn even more what you are doing and to contributing to this. So I would be happy to continue the discussion on innovation hubs with you. And I want to share with you a last thought. And this last thought is from Alex Osterwalder. Alex is a young professor. He's an innovator based in Switzerland, and he's the inventor of the Canvas model. He also has introduced Strategize and has written a lot of books. So if you're interested, have a look. I very much appreciate him. He always is saying, if you are in decision-making processes, remain flexible. Also, business plans are important, and I have been leading so many companies myself. They are important, but then I want to quote him and say something very provocative. Then throw the business plan away and look around you what is really happening. Look at the real world. And I've seen this with many Saudi businessmen and women, that they are very much attached to the real world, what is going on, and looking at what is really happening. Don't stick to the paper. Don't stick to your plan alone. It's good to have a plan. It's good to have a vision, but especially for the SME, we have learned in Europe and in Austria that the driver of the SME is their adaptability to their surrounding. So always adapt the business model to the real world. Take the feedback from outside. Talk to people who have experienced, and what I appreciate very much in Saudi Arabia is that you are welcoming. I feel very welcomed in Saudi. I'm living in Saudi Arabia now for 1 year in Riyadh. This is one of the most exciting times of my life. It's a completely new time, and I'm also a founder of a small and medium-sized company here in Saudi Arabia. So I thought, walk the talk, do what you're talking about and most passionate about it, and I'm happy to share with you later on. I will be around your experiences about Al-Hassa, about Saudi Arabia, and what can be done together to shape the future of the SME sector, to bring innovation into Saudi Arabia, and to help in your growth of Vision 2030, because I can tell you from my experience, looking around at Europe, what is happening there, also the US and Saudi Arabia is in the center of decision-making, and you're also in the center of the business of the future. Thank you for your kind hospitality.
ويتفضل الدكتور إحسان بوحليقة عضو مجلس الأمناء لتكريم المشاركة في هذه الجلسة. حضورنا الكريم، يسعدنا نبدأ جلستنا الحوارية